We expect an update today from Sun Prairie Police as that community continues to recover and rebuild after last week's deadly explosion.
And if you're a fan of online shopping, it might cost you more. We're going to have a preview of new online sales taxes starting this fall.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Monday, July 16th. Lots of stuff happening, especially overseas this morning. We're following the news of President Trump meeting with Russian President Putin. They both have now arrived at the presidential palace in Helsinki. They're running about an hour late as Putin was running late flying into Helsinki. So we're going to have an update on that coming up right around 6:30 this morning.
That's right. First, though, we do want to get an update on the beautiful weather on the way to start the week.
Yes, big changes in the weather. We'll lose the humidity today, but we have to be a little patient. This morning, some clouds moving into the Madison area. Still see the sunrise there. Nice shot from the WISC-TV sky cam. It's still very muggy outside this morning. Satellite and radar trends have shown a few isolated showers from time to time. Looks like there's a shower developing just south of La Crosse. A cold front is moving through the area early this morning, so isolated showers are possible, but the bigger weather story will be the drop in humidity. Dew points will be back in the 50s later on today, likely through the afternoon, so it will feel much more comfortable. High temperatures today will climb into the middle 80s. Expect plenty of sunshine, especially through the afternoon. Now here's a look at your traffic update this morning. First alert traffic maps showing you that there aren't any major accidents or slowdowns in the area. A couple of brake lights showing up on the Beltline near Stoughton Road, but otherwise things going pretty smoothly so far this morning. You're still traveling at posted speeds as you head into Madison.
Definitely good to hear because yet again, last night we had the interstate shut down and heading south.
I know. Seems to be a trend on Sundays.
Yeah, or just a trend every morning.
With that construction.
Yeah, it's a zoo. All right, thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
New this morning, Janesville police are investigating an overnight stabbing that sent someone to the hospital with serious life-threatening injuries. It happened on Morningside Drive, just east of I-90, around 1 a.m. Police there say someone was stabbed a number of times, but they were still able to call 911. Officers are looking for the person responsible this morning. If you have any information, maybe you saw something, you're asked to call Janesville Crime Stoppers.
Sun Prairie Police will update reporters later today on the status of families and businesses affected by last week's deadly explosion. The city also set up a website listing more than a dozen different fundraising efforts to help people affected by that explosion. Some of the business owners there say that they've actually been able to get back into the buildings that were damaged by that incident on July 10th. Some areas, though, are still considered to be restricted. The State Department of Transportation still has roads in that area shut down to any traffic, including parts of North Bristol, Columbus, and East Main streets. Now, for a map of those closures and more information on resources and ways you can help, updates as well, you can visit cityofsunprairie.com/sunprairiestrong. That's cityofsunprairie.com/sunprairiestrong.
Owners of one iconic building that was damaged in the explosion say instead of knocking it down, they're committed to restoring it. The old City Hall on East Main Street was right across the street from that explosion and is still in what's being called the green zone, still fenced off from the public there. The owners got a chance to look at the damage. They say there are some pretty significant issues with the roof and the interior, but it's still in good enough shape to fix.
It was built in 1895 by the residents of this community as a symbol of strength, and it was built to last. And our aim was to restore it from the beginning, and that's still our goal. It's to bring the City Hall back to what it should be for this community as an iconic building.
The restoration process still will take probably months to finish.
News 3 will be holding an all-day telethon tomorrow. We want to let you know about it. Starts right here on News 3 this morning to raise money for the Disaster Relief Fund following the Sun Prairie explosion. Phone lines will be open from our 4:30 a.m. broadcast straight through the day until the end of News 3 at 10. All of that money will go toward the Bank of Sun Prairie, which is assuring that 100% of the proceeds collected will go to those affected by the explosion. You can find more information and all of our Sun Prairie Strong coverage over on channel3000.com.
6:04 your time now. There's about to be a new alder representing Madison's East Side on the city's Common Council. The executive committee is looking at 5 resumes for the position at its meeting tomorrow. Members are looking to replace Denise DeMarb, who moved out of the district. The committee is just making a recommendation for that spot. The person picked will still have to be voted in by the Common Council at its meeting next week. The position is only temporary. It runs until the next election in April of 2019.
Overnight, Chinese officials have filed a World Trade Organization challenge to President Trump's plan to tax another $200 billion of products from that country. The administration announced those plans last week. It would be the second round of tariffs the U.S. has imposed on Chinese goods. Officials in that country retaliated, you may remember, with its own taxes on American imports, targeting a number of Wisconsin-made products like cheese, ginseng, and cranberries. Senator Ron Johnson is holding a roundtable discussion in Milwaukee this morning to talk about some of those issues. Senator Johnson will talk with farmers at the Milwaukee Federal Building, along with manufacturing companies. You just saw some shots of Harley-Davidson there. That company in particular is affected by higher tariffs in Europe. That roundtable discussion starts at 9 a.m. and Senator Johnson says the U.S. should be holding China accountable for its unfair trade policies, but not at the expense of American workers and businesses.
Amazon is promising customers 1 million deals, the most ever, as the company's 4th annual Prime Day kicks off this afternoon. This year, the word day is a little bit misleading. Amazon has extended its promotion for 36 hours. It's also the first Prime Day with Whole Foods, Amazon's most expensive purchase. Amazon doesn't disclose revenue from previous Prime Days, but analysts predict it's going to reach $3.4 billion this year. Now, we here in Wisconsin already pay sales taxes for Amazon because of the distribution center in Kenosha, but there could be some big changes coming to the way the state collects taxes for other online sales.
So you may remember a Supreme Court ruling recently on this issue, and it's estimated that Wisconsin could bring in more than $200 million more in online sales tax over the next couple of years. Thanks to these changes, Josh Spreiter is live from the state capitol this morning with what's ahead this fall for online shoppers and retailers. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Starting this October, all remote sellers will be required to register to collect and remit Wisconsin sales or use taxes. That's a decision consistent with the Supreme Court rather. This move is meant to help businesses based here in Wisconsin so people don't turn online to buy something for cheaper because it's coming from out of state. The tax collection will apply to any business with annual online sales of more than $100,000 or 200 or more transactions. It will not apply to smaller sellers. The Department of Revenue projects the state of Wisconsin could collect as much as $187 million a year in additional sales tax revenue after the change. Governor Walker is now voicing his support for using any money collected through a potential sales tax on internet sales to lower taxes elsewhere. Now, Walker says the change coming this October shouldn't be looked at as a tax increase, but rather just a way to level the playing field between Wisconsin businesses and out-of-state companies. Ladies?
A number of brick and mortar stores excited about this ruling, seeing what it could do for their commerce as well. So Josh Spreiter, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
6:07 your time now. Now, when I think door-to-door sales, I immediately think of Thin Mints,
Yeah,
right?
go Girl Scouts.
Yeah, but there are some young women in our area who are trying to sell you on helping their classmates this school year. We'll hear from them about the wagon drive that's coming up just after the break.
Before that, though, Hattie is watching the radar for some storms that could possibly pop up throughout the morning. She'll have an update on that when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the patio where it's still pretty muggy outside this morning. The air is very thick, dew points are high, but a nice trend is going to be experienced today with those dew points. We're going to drop the dew points later this afternoon. Taking a peek at high temperatures yesterday, it was a pretty muggy day yesterday with highs in the mid to upper 80s, even 90s through the Wisconsin River Valley. Temperatures are trending downward though this week. We're back to highs in the 70s starting on Thursday through Saturday. Highs will be a little bit below normal. Here's a look at our satellite and radar trends. It's been pretty quiet around here this morning. We've had a few isolated showers from time to time show up on the radar map. Generally, they've been pretty light. A cold front is working its way through the area, and you can see the effects of that front. Right now, dew points are in the 70s in southern Wisconsin, even 71-degree dew point in Green Bay, Sheboygan, 72 in Milwaukee, 70 here in Madison. A big improvement, though, to the north and west. Eau Claire has fallen to a dew point of 59. It's 54 in Superior and 59 as well in Minneapolis. So much drier air just to our north and west. And we're going to see our dew points fall as well. By the time we hit the afternoon, dew points here in southern Wisconsin will be back in the 50s. So just be patient, a couple of hours yet this morning, and then it will feel more comfortable for the afternoon. With that cold front moving through, there are some clouds this morning, and we see a clear line of clouds moving into the west side of Madison this morning. 71 degrees here in the capital city, 70 in Platteville, 73 in Prairie du Chien, and even 72 in the Dells. So we're all starting very mild early today. Our dew points will drop and it'll feel much more comfortable once that cold front passes through the region. There's a little bit of cloud cover. Winds are very light this morning. They will be from the northwest though later today, around 10 miles an hour, bringing that drier air into the region. Now, as far as rain chances are concerned with this front, we're mainly going to see clouds this morning. Future Track has a pretty good handle of what I think will happen today. And as we head towards the early afternoon hours, a few showers or thunderstorms may pop up in far southeastern Wisconsin, but otherwise most of the area staying dry. Clearing this afternoon with highs in the low to mid 80s. You can maybe give that AC a break tonight as low temperatures are expected to drop back into the 50s. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Beautiful weather expected on Tuesday and Wednesday with highs right around 80 degrees. Lots of sunshine expected. Turning more unsettled towards the end of the week with a storm system that may sit around the area for several days. Chances for rain starting Thursday, possibly even into Sunday. Now let's get a look at your first alert traffic update with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. So far, everything is seem to be moving all right on the Beltline. No crashes or delays showing up heading east or westbound. Looking at the roads here in Dane County, there are a few brake lights on Stoughton Road approaching the Beltline and northbound side of Rona Road near the Beltline ramps. Downtown Madison roads are moving well so far. No major issues. Volume shouldn't be a concern at least for another half hour or so. And other main routes leading into the city are cruising along at the usual speeds right now with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Hattie. So for the 10th year in a row, students in our area are going around with wagons, asking all of us to give to the Wagon Drive.
The goal this year is bigger than ever. The hope is to provide 300 kids with school supplies ahead of the school year. Here to share with how we can all help is Lily Fowler and Nyla El Tahir. They'll both be seniors at West High this year. Lily, why don't we start with you? Tell us how this all started.
So basically, like 10 years ago, I was sitting in church and the pastor said something about how many kids needed help and how some families had to choose between buying food or school supplies when the school year came around. So like me and my little like 6-year-old brain was like, can we like walk up to doors and ask people for food or like school supplies? And we decided that it may be easier to have an actual event somewhere where people could drop stuff off. And then that's kind of how the whole like event day was born.
When you think about this going for 10 years, Nyla, and you've been involved for most of those years, I mean, that's from going from what, like first, second grade to now? Do you remember when this first started, and did you ever think it would get to trying to help 300 kids? I mean, that's amazing.
Oh, I'm sure I didn't think about it at that age, but yeah, we started when we were really young and have been both involved the whole time.
What kept you involved for 10 years?
Just the fact that we like started it together, so then we just continued year after year, and different neighborhood kids come and go, but we've been pretty consistent with that.
Over the years, have you guys been able to talk to the students who are getting some of these supplies? How thankful are they?
We don't get to talk to most of them normally, but we get to talk to like the social workers. We work through them and they're always really thankful, or sometimes we like run into kids like while we're like handing out the supplies or sorting them at like specific places, and they'll be like, oh, like you guys are the ones where we get this from, like thanks.
Want to talk a little bit about, we have some stuff that you guys brought, some examples of what you need. There's backpacks, school supplies. Now, like, can you talk a little bit about maybe some stuff that we are or not seeing here that you would love people to bring?
Yeah, so we collect every type of school supply, anything that's available to people to bring, and we also collect toiletries and food at the actual event. The toiletries are for the road home, and the food we put in the wagons the day of and wheel it to our local church that has a food pantry. So
that's awesome.
And we're trying to help how many students this year?
300.
Wow, that's bigger than previous years,
Yeah.
right?
And then we're also giving like extra school supplies to the schools as well.
Awesome.
So.
Well, thank you, girls, for doing what you're doing. We want to remind people where you can actually help and give. You can head over. There's a collection event next weekend. This is Saturday, July 28th. So plenty of time, folks, to grab those school supplies, grab the toiletries, grab the food. And that goes from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at Franklin Elementary School. I've been able to drop some stuff off. It's an awesome event. You guys rock. Thank you for waking up this early, too.
thank you for having us.
Of course.
All right, thanks, ladies.
So we are sharing a really cool story out of Middleton this morning where a small tweak to wheelchairs could help people of all abilities move around a little better. We'll tell you what that change is and why it matters coming up.
And Hattie does expect a break in the humidity later today, but it will stay a little warm as we start the week. She's going to let us know what to expect when News 3 This Morning continues.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. We're starting this Monday morning off with muggy and somewhat foggy conditions in a few spots. Here's a live look from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. You can see there's a little fog in the area. Visibility is near zero in some spots, so be aware of that. Fog does not seem to be a huge issue in and around Madison, but visibility is around 1 mile in Juneau. Here's a look at satellite and radar trends. Some clouds moving through the area and a few isolated showers possible as well. A cold front is tracking across southern Wisconsin this morning. It will bring lower humidity to the area later on today. High temperatures, though, will still be in the 80s, topping right around 84 by 4 p.m. Have a wonderful day.
Hattie, thank you so much. A group of Rock and Walworth County middle schoolers have some pretty good driving weather right now. They are about a couple hours into their very long drive to D.C. this morning. 40 students from Janesville and Delavan who participate in the Boys and Girls Clubs there will visit places like the World War II Memorial, National Museum of African American History and Culture, and the Holocaust Museum. 650 young Wisconsinites will be in D.C. for the week-long look at American history and American government. A $700,000 donation from the Herb Cole Philanthropies is covering the cost of all meals, travel expenses, lodging, and exhibits for the members of those 20 Boys and Girls Clubs across the state.
A local wheelchair company wants to change the industry and make it safer for people who use them. For the past 2 years, Row Wheels out of Middleton has been working on new types of wheels to go on their chairs. The user pulls backwards on this model, which gives them better posture, spreads out the work to more muscles, and decreases the risk of shoulder and hand injuries. The company says there hasn't been a change to wheelchairs like this in 40 years.
That was a game changer in this business, in this industry of wheelchair, because for the first time, this problem of upper limb injuries and upper extremity problems happening to the manual wheelchair users was a solution for the first time.
Row Wheels will be available on Amazon. They cost around $1,000. The company is taking pre-orders now. They hope to be sending out those orders starting this fall. 6:23 right now. Josh Spreiter is live at the Capitol this morning talking about a Supreme Court ruling on sales taxes, specifically affecting what we buy online. It could have a significant impact on how much money the state makes off those sales.
We'll have more on that, and there's an update to share this morning about a county-wide effort to help victims of gun violence. The day's top stories are next on News 3 this morning.
The president is pointing fingers at the U.S. for its strained relationship with Russia as his first summit with Vladimir Putin starts this morning.
And if you have things on your shopping list that you might be paying for online instead, we'll share more about an online sales tax coming to the state this fall.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning, 6:27 on this Monday, July 16th.
And a gorgeous one.
Yeah.
Both Danica and Hattie are back from vacation. Sorry to say.
No, it's
Glad
okay.
to have you, but at least you're coming back to a gorgeous Monday.
That's absolutely right.
Hattie's out on the weather patio enjoying a little bit of a muggy morning, but that's going to change, right, Hattie?
It is. It's very muggy outside early today, but we have better conditions that will move in for the afternoon. So just be patient. Couple more hours with this high humidity. Take a live look from the Edgewater Skycam this morning, downtown Madison. Pretty cloudy early today. The clouds will clear, though, for the afternoon. A cold front is working its way through the area, and we're already starting to see some improvement in the dew points to the north and west. A little bit, not a lot just yet, but dew points have dropped into the upper 60s north of the Dells, so that is good news. Still 70-degree dew point here in Madison. Now, as dew points fall today, our temperatures are expected to rise. We'll climb to highs in the mid-80s, but again, lower humidity levels are expected for the afternoon. Here's a look at your First Alert traffic maps this morning. We'll see what's happening on the roads, and looks like it's still pretty quiet. Not very high volume just yet across the area, so you're still traveling at posted speeds as you head into Madison. And that's your First Alert traffic update.
All right, thanks, Hattie. In Fitchburg this morning, investigators are looking into that city's third shooting in just the past week. It happened last night around 9:30 on Anton Drive, just off Verona Road. Police only found shell casings there, no victims, but around the same time, a man showed up at the hospital with a gunshot wound and told doctors there it happened in Fitchburg. Police are still trying to figure out what exactly happened in that shooting. Anyone with information, anyone who might have seen something, can call Fitchburg officers at that number right there on your screen.
At least 4 protesters could be officially charged this morning in Chicago after they were arrested over the weekend for allegedly throwing rocks and bottles at officers. The demonstrations were in response to a fatal police shooting over the weekend. The officers involved are on administrative leave this morning after a 37-year-old man was shot and killed Saturday evening. Chicago police released body camera video of one of those officers yesterday. That 30-second clip appears to show the man reaching toward a gun holstered at his hip before he was shot multiple times. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. But activists who came out this weekend in protest say they do not believe the man ever threatened police.
Here in Madison, community leaders are brainstorming new ideas to help prevent gun violence in our own city. The State Journal reports that Mayor Soglin and Dane County Executive Joe Parisi plan to add more funding to the 2019 budgets for a public health approach to shootings. There's a community safety intervention team that brings together city officials, police, employees from UW Health, and the school district. That group meets weekly to work on longer-term solutions, but it also looks at short-term problems too, like helping families who feel unsafe find a new place to live, paying for funeral costs, and connecting people with social services.
The State Department of Justice is expanding a program to help people dealing with domestic violence. Attorney General Brad Schimmel and End Domestic Abuse Wisconsin will announce the expansion of the lethality assessment program later today in Milwaukee. Now, that program identifies domestic violence survivors who may be at risk of being killed by their partners. Federal grant funding will provide End Abuse Wisconsin with more than $500,000 to expand the program from now until June 2020. Governor Walker is tweeting overnight about the back-to-school tax holiday that's happening here statewide in a couple weeks. He spent the weekend touring the state on his motorcycle, riding with friends, neighbors, and veterans. He's been doing this ride since 2004 across the state. This year, though, it comes less than a month before the Democratic primaries and a few months before November's midterms. Governor Walker says voters want to hear what the candidates are for rather than against.
We want to be one of the top states in America for millennials, one of the top states for retirees. We want to have the best high school graduation rate in the country.
Governor Walker's new campaign agenda is called Wisconsin Wins the 21st Century.
A handful of the Democratic candidates for governor are meeting for a public forum this week to try and stop Governor Walker from becoming the second person in state history to be elected to a third four-year term. Of the 8 candidates running, Matt Flynn, Mike McCabe, Kelda Roys, Paul Soglin, and Kathleen Vinehout say they'll be at the event in Monroe tomorrow night. That forum starts tomorrow at 6:30 at the Monroe Arts Center. President Trump's first summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin is underway right now. You're taking a live look in Helsinki at the Finnish presidential palace, where they're meeting this morning. The summit is running about an hour behind schedule after Putin's plane was delayed. The president tweeted this morning that it's the U.S.'s fault for bad relations. He blamed years of foolishness and the rigged Russia witch hunt. Ahead of the summit, within the last 20 minutes here, Trump told reporters the two will talk about everything from military and missiles to trade and China. CBS This Morning is going to have live coverage from Helsinki that starts at 7 o'clock.
6:32 right now, and back here in Wisconsin, the nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau is estimating taxpayers here in Wisconsin will see a $52 reduction in income taxes. It's good news. Thanks to new online shopping taxes the state will start collecting this fall.
That's because of a recent decision by the Supreme Court. It will bring in an estimated $200 million in additional sales tax revenue for the state over the next couple of years. Our Josh Spreiter is live from the Capitol this morning with what we're learning. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Come this October, online shoppers may notice an increased number of online retailers charging sales and use tax. Any seller who makes more than 200 transactions a year or collects more than $100,000 in sales will soon be required by state law to collect the applicable 0.5% county sales tax. That change could bring in as much as $187 million a year in additional sales tax revenue for the state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Department of Revenue says thanks to the decision made by the U.S. Supreme Court in the case South Dakota versus Wayfair, state businesses, especially Wisconsin small businesses, will no longer operate at a competitive disadvantage to out-of-state retailers. Governor Scott Walker supports that plan too, but says that any additional money the state collects through the tax should be used to lower taxes elsewhere, although he did not say specifically where. Right now, the State Department of Revenue is in the process of notifying those businesses and those practitioners about the changes.
The state, in terms of tax revenue, could be good news for those big box retailers here in the state. All right, our Josh Spreiter reporting live for us this morning. Thanks, Josh.
6:33 right now. We are expecting to hear more from police in Sun Prairie about the status of downtown businesses and families living around there affected by last week's deadly explosion. We'll have the details coming up in the morning sprint.
And the Brewers have their first home run derby contender in 7 years. We're going to share some of Jesus Aguilar's competition, like world champion caliber competition, when News 3 This Morning returns.
Welcome back. 6:37 right now on this Monday morning. So we always ask you to share your morning with us. It's a little cloudy out there, a little hazy. So this one from Monona Bay should lighten your spirits on this Monday morning. We were hoping to show you one from Fowler. Maybe we'll bring that to you a little bit later on. But as always, if you want to share your morning with us, use the hashtag MyNews3Morning, and we share our favorites every morning here on the program.
All right. Well, 6:37 your time now. Badger fans, listen up. You have the chance later today to get your tickets for the biggest games of the Badger football season. Single game tickets go on sale about 3 hours from now. Wisconsin plays 7 home games this fall, starting with Western Kentucky University on August 31st. You can buy those single game tickets at the UW Athletics website starting at 8:30 this morning. Now, if you're following the Brewers instead this season, you should know that Jesus Aguilar has been one of the baseball's biggest sluggers so far in the season.
Yeah, and that actually earned him a spot on the All-Star team and the #1 seed in tonight's Home Run Derby. Aguilar will be one of 8 players swinging for the fences in Washington, D.C. tonight. The Cubs are sending Kyle Schwarber, Javi Baez, who he's going to have some competition. Aguilar is the first Brewers player to actually appear in the Home Run Derby since Prince Fielder and Ricky Weeks did in 2011. Fielder is the only Brewer to ever win the Derby, earning that crown in 2009. The Brewers are unfortunately going into the All-Star break on a bit of a losing streak. 6 games losing so far after getting swept over the weekend in Pittsburgh.
All right, so we could use some good news this morning, or tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, almost 6:39 your time. Now, we have some nice summer days coming up, but Hattie says there could be a storm or a shower popping up this morning. Those chances come back later this week, too. She's going to have your full first alert forecast coming up after the break.
First, though, it is July 16th, and if you have a kiddo turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can put their picture on TV. And News 3 This Morning will be... Taking a live look right now outside of the WISC-TV Skycam. This is Madison's west side here. You can see the clouds fairly thick this morning. Hattie does expect things to clear out a bit as we head into the rest of the day. She'll have your forecast here in a few minutes. First, though, there is a new study out of the UW that shows millennials don't necessarily want to live in high-rise apartment and condo buildings. So as far up as you can see from the camera here, nope. Want to be closer to the ground. Those researchers found young adults want to be connected to city life, but also have a strong sense of community in rural areas.
The percentage of adults from 20 to 39 years old fell 22% in the median Wisconsin city between 1990 and 2010. A separate study last year showed a 15% of rural communities had a stable or rising percentage of young adults, particularly ones living close to big cities. 6:43 your time now. Sun Prairie Police will update reporters later today on the status of the families and the businesses affected by last week's deadly explosion.
Yeah, there are more than a dozen different fundraising efforts to help the Sun Prairie community. Those are all listed on a new website on the City of Sun Prairie's website, so you'll want to go check that out. But we do want to remind you about a special event that we're going to help host here at News 3. This will be an all-day telethon tomorrow, starting right here on News 3 this morning. It will raise money for disaster relief funding following the explosion. Phone lines will be open from our 4:30 broadcast in the morning straight through the end of the day until the end of News 3 at 10. So all of this money is going to go to the Bank of Sun Prairie, which is assuring 100% of the proceeds collected will go to those affected by that deadly explosion. You can find more information and all of our Sun Prairie Strong coverage over on channel3000.com.
Lots of folks still cleaning up in Sun Prairie. Going to be a couple of nice days to get that done. A lot less humidity, right, Hattie?
That is true. The humidity levels will drop today, which is great news. Let's take a look, though, outside this morning in Platteville. There is just a little bit of fog still being reported in the Platteville area this morning. If we can pull up the weather graphics, you'll see the shot from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville early today. Visibility has been near zero there so far this morning, but it should be improving as a cold front moves through the area. Here is a look. Let's see if we can get to those weather graphics and show you what's going to happen across southern Wisconsin as we go through the day today. Things are going to be improving. We're starting off with a very muggy start early today. Here's that look in Platteville. The Queen Bee Radio Skycam showing you some hazy sunshine early today. Definitely some clouds in the area. Visibility still near zero in some spots, so be aware of the fog there. Not a huge issue here in Madison. About 2.5 mile visibility in Juneau. Here's a look at satellite and radar trends, and again, we do have some clouds moving through the area. It's a fairly narrow band of cloud cover that stretches from the UP all the way through Wisconsin and back into Iowa. It's along a cold front. Now, not a lot of rain being generated along that front right now, but the front is going to clear out the heat and humidity, and those warm and humid conditions are going to track eastward. Behind this front, skies will clear out for the afternoon as winds shift to the north and west. High pressure building in is going to guarantee us a couple of very nice days across southern Wisconsin. Nothing but sunshine in our forecast on Tuesday and even into Wednesday. Dry weather is expected. Here's a look at our dew points across the midsection of the country, and quite a contrast for the midsection of the country this morning. 70-degree dew point here in Madison as well as Des Moines. It drops to 59 in Minneapolis and 55 in Wausau. So improving conditions to the north and west. Our dew point is going to drop here in southern Wisconsin as well. Take a look at this dew point trend. This is what you want to see, a downward trend with these numbers back into the 50s, so feeling much more comfortable for the afternoon. The polar bear has the right idea right now, though still pretty humid outside. He or she is in the pool taking a swim this morning. 71 here in Madison, 72 in Mineral Point, 72 in Lone Rock. So it's a mild and muggy start to the day. Future track winds will shift to the north and west and hover right around 10 miles per hour through the afternoon. So that'll make it feel much more comfortable today. Not too breezy though, so a beautiful afternoon is expected. Your Pinpoint City forecast highs today in New Glarus. Look for a high of 82 degrees, 82 as well in Sun Prairie and 83 in Watertown. Plenty of sun for the afternoon. Those clouds will clear. 81 in Prairie du Chien. Fenimore tops at 80 degrees. And to the north, Mauston will climb to a high of 82 degrees degrees, 83 in Poynette. Here in Madison, our high temperature today, 84 degrees. You will notice lower humidity levels, though, through the afternoon. Beautiful weather then on Tuesday and Wednesday. Our rain chances return Thursday, and this next storm system may sit around for a few days.
I see that.
Yeah, we have chances for rain in the forecast all the way through Sunday.
Oh,
Here's Chevy in
Chevy.
Edgerton. What a cool name.
Buddy, what a great day to take a walk, too.
Yeah, especially this afternoon.
he's too comfy for that. Come on.
Good point.
Maybe later.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The morning sprint is up next. And as we head to break, take a live look at the Finnish presidential palace this morning, where President Trump is meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. We're going to have the latest on that summit. That's coming up in the morning sprint.
.50 time now for the morning sprint. After a muggy sort of morning, Hattie does expect some relief from the humidity.
And Josh Spreiter is live at the state capitol to talk about the impact of more online sales taxes in the state. But we start this morning overseas in Helsinki, where the president is tweeting ahead of his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. On Twitter, Trump said that it's the U.S.'s fault for bad relations, blaming years of foolishness and the rigged Russia witch hunt, citing the Russia investigation there. The trip comes after a week of visiting other European allies, where Trump took a tough stance on trade and defense spending. That summit is just underway within the last half hour here. CBS This Morning will have coverage of today's summit. That starts at 7 o'clock.
The president says he plans to discuss trade in China with President Putin today. Overnight, Chinese officials have filed a World Trade Organization challenge to President Trump's plan to tax another $200 billion of products coming from that country. The administration announced those plans last week. It would be the second round of tariffs the U.S. has imposed on Chinese goods. Officials in that country retaliated with its own taxes on American American imports, targeting a number of Wisconsin-made products like cheese, ginseng, and cranberries.
Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson is talking about those tariffs and how they'll hurt state businesses at a roundtable discussion today. Senator Johnson will talk with farmers at the Milwaukee Federal Building, along with manufacturing companies like Harley-Davidson that are affected by higher tariffs in Europe.
Amazon stock is up in pre-market trading ahead of its Prime Day sales starting this afternoon. This is the 4th annual Prime Day and the first since the online retailer acquired Whole Foods. Now, financial analysts predict it's going to reach $3.4 billion this year.
Right now, Governor Scott Walker plans to expand the way that we collect taxes for online purchases here in the state this fall. It comes after a Supreme Court decision. The Wisconsin Department of Revenue says thanks to that decision, state businesses, especially Wisconsin small businesses, will no longer operate at a competitive disadvantage to out-of-state retailers. The Department of Revenue is now in the process of notifying businesses and tax practitioners about the changes resulting from that Supreme Court decision. The state says there will be a small seller exemption for businesses who don't have an annual sales of products and services into that state of more than $100,000 or 200 or more separate transactions.
And our forecast today starts with a little bit of cloud cover here across southern Wisconsin. A few isolated showers are possible as a cold front moves through. Best chance would be south and east of Madison as we head towards the lunch hour. Otherwise, dew points will fall today as temperatures climb back into the 80s. We're looking at a high of 84 degrees, but a nice northwesterly wind making it feel much more comfortable this afternoon.
All right, thanks, Hattie. Sun Prairie Police will update reporters later today on the status of the families and businesses affected by last week's deadly explosion. The city also has a website listing more than a dozen different fundraising efforts to help the people affected by that explosion. For a map of roads still shut down in the area and more information on resources and ways you can help, visit cityofsunprairie.com/sunprairiestrong.
So the company that owns the old Sun Prairie City Hall says it is committed to restoring it instead of knocking it down. Those owners say there are significant issues with the roof and in the interior of the building, but it's still in good enough shape to fix. It's an older building. The process would take months of work.
In Fitchburg, investigators there are looking into the city's third shooting in the past week. It happened last night on Anton Drive, just off of Verona Road, around 9:30. Police found shell casings at the scene, and a man showed up at the hospital with a gunshot wound around the same time. Anyone with information should call Fitchburg Police.
Community members in Madison and Dane County are brainstorming some ideas to help prevent gun violence. Madison Mayor Paul Soglin and Dane County Executive Joe Parisi plan to add more funding in the next budgets for the Community Safety Intervention Team. That brings together city officials, police, employees with UW Health, as well as the school district. They're hoping to also expand funding for peer support specialists.
Janesville police are investigating an overnight stabbing that sent someone to the hospital with serious life-threatening injuries. It happened on Morningside Drive, just east of I-90. Someone was stabbed a number of times there, but they were still able to call 911. Police are looking for the person responsible. If you know anything, you're asked to call Janesville Crime Stoppers.
There will soon be a new alder representing Madison's East Side on the city's Common Council. The executive committee will look at 5 different resumes for that position at its meeting tomorrow. That committee will make a recommendation for the spot. The person who is chosen will still have to be voted in by the Common Council at its meeting next week. Now, this position is only temporary. It runs until the next election in April of 2019.
Governor Walker is preparing for his campaign for governor and doing it on a motorcycle. Governor Walker spent the weekend touring the state in his annual effort to showcase all the state has to offer, riding alongside friends, neighbors, and veterans. He's been doing the ride since 2004, but this year he's also looking ahead to his campaign for governor, saying that people want to hear what the candidates are for rather than against.
So of the 8 Democratic candidates looking to challenge Governor Walker this fall, Matt Flynn, Mike McCabe, Kelda Roys, Paul Soglin, and Kathleen Vinehout say they will be at a public forum in Monroe. That happens tomorrow. The forum starts tomorrow at 6:30 over at the Monroe Arts Center.
Badger fans looking forward to the football season have the chance to buy single game tickets starting in just under 2 hours here. Wisconsin plays 7 home games this fall, starting with Western Kentucky University. That's on August 31st. Student section tickets sold out last month within hours. Tickets can be bought at the UW Athletics website starting at 8:30 this morning.
A first alert traffic note to pass along. Crews are starting construction on noise barriers along southbound Verona Road in Fitchburg between Raymond Road and Williamsburg Way. Asphalt paving on Maple Grove Drive near Highway 151 will start on Wednesday. That's for a new road salt storage facility going up there. Now traffic will be down to a single lane in the area, so the DOT is asking people to plan extra time for the commute. Time right now is 6:56. Speaking of traffic, let's get one more check on the roads with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Yeah, the westbound Beltline continuing to pick up, especially between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. So far, though, no major delays. I would expect that to change over the next 15 minutes or so. Inbound John Olin beginning to tap the brakes between...
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Looks like we lost Josh there, but the time on the roads is looking pretty good this morning, besides that 151 back up a little bit there.
Yeah, just a little bit on Verona Road, but cloudy skies and muggy conditions as we start our Monday morning. Improving weather conditions, though, through the day today. Dew points will fall, even though temperatures will climb back into the middle 80s. Lots of sunshine expected this afternoon as well. So just a gorgeous day ahead. Lower humidity then will stick around through the middle of the week.
That's what we like to hear.
All right, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Stay with CBS This Morning for the latest from Helsinki, where the summit with President Putin and President Trump is just getting started.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.